from the Mercy One studio.
Support for Faith on Trial and Iowa Catholic Radio provided in part by Imogene Ingredients.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. It's time to hear from the top Christian litigators in the nation who have come forward to tell us the truth and help us defend our faith.
Hear ye, hear ye. All rise. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano, is in session.
And good Thursday morning from the Mercy One studios in West Des Moines. This is Thursday, October 8th. I'm Deacon Mike Mano. I'm here with Gina Knoll. Gina, how are you this morning?
Good morning, Deacon. I'm well.
Did you happen to listen to the vice presidential debate last night?
I have not seen the whole debate yet. So was it good? Did you watch the whole thing?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was more informative than the presidential debate. And
how'd that plexiglass thing work for you? Did it feel like they were zoo animals in a cage?
Yes. They should have put up chicken wire between them, too. No, it worked fine. It worked fine. Now, I understand the Commission on Presidential Debates has now made a decision that the next one is going to be online, virtual.
Right. They won't be in the same building.
They won't be in the same room, and that took everybody by surprise because apparently they didn't run that by the campaigns. And so the president is a little irritated by that. And I kind of don't blame him because there's always been this suspicion that somebody's coaching Biden. And certainly if you want to have a debate, you don't want to be in separate rooms and not see what's going on.
Well, it certainly does feed those conspiracy theories, doesn't it?
It certainly does, especially in light of the last couple of town halls that they've had where we're supposed to have the different networks that did it. I think ABC and NBC did them, where they had people who were supposed to be undecided.
Right, exactly.
And it turns out they weren't really people that were undecided. So I don't know. I guess they're maybe playing some games. But I thought the debate went well last night. I thought it was more civil, much more civil. I thought both candidates held their own. I think it's obvious that Pence is a very good debater, and he brought up all the points that he wanted to bring up, especially the point, one that I've been harping about for a while, is this court packing proposal. Again, he directly asked Kamala Harris, are you going to do this? And she did everything she could to avoid answering that question. So, that's their plan. They're going to try and pack the
court.
By
not answering, it's
an
answer.
Not answering. And they've asked Biden several times. They've asked her. It's been on both the debates, and they won't answer the question.
So, I haven't seen the whole debate, so I'm curious of the whole Catholicism, religious affiliation issues. Did they come up at all in the debate?
Yeah, just a small amount. Now, I missed a couple of minutes of good debate because I came back in when they were finishing something and it sounded like they had been into some heavy territory. The dog wanted in. I had to go out and let the dog in. And then he wants out right away, and then I got to go let him in again. So.
Because in the life of this program, we've covered quite a few stories out of California where Miss Harris was part of the issue we were discussing. So,
well, she is, and as a matter of fact, I was writing my column for The Wanderer about that. What she has been up to, the stuff with David DeLayden.
Right, exactly.
How she went after, as Attorney General, went after David DeLayden for his interviews that exposed the Planned Parenthood baby parts sale scheme. And it was the first time in California history that law on protecting people from
as journalists.
A journalist was used against a journalist.
Right.
There is a law in California that says you can't tape somebody's private conversation and then play it publicly. and that's what they're getting them on. But there's a provision in the law that you can do it if you are exposing illegal activity.
Right.
And the sale of baby parts is an illegal activity. So,
and that's the irony in the whole David Daleiden, that she prosecuted him and never went after the clinics that were illegally selling.
That's right. That's right. And then,
human.
and then, of course, she and Mazie Hirono, a senator from Hawaii, who I still contend is the stupidest U.S. senator today, went after a candidate for a judicial post in Nebraska for his membership in the Knights of Columbus.
Right.
And they kept asking him, did you know all this about the Knights of Columbus? You know, that they opposed abortion and whatever. When you joined, well, he joined when he was 18, and that was like in the 1992 or something like that, long before a lot of this stuff had ever come up, and long before it was, I suppose, cool to go after Catholics publicly like that. But yeah, she has got a very checkered record on these things. And now the fact that she's down to taking Biden's cue and not answering the question about court packing just kind of tells me what they're up to doing. And that's my this upcoming week, I think it is the my column on court packing in the Wanderer. So look for that.
Explains it all.
Yeah.
Good.
So it was an interesting debate. I really think Pence got the better of it. I think he was better prepared. And I think he had the facts with him, whereas Kamala just kind of aspirational things she talked about, whereas Pence was nitty-gritty on a lot of the facts and things. So I think he did well.
Well, good. I look forward to watching it.
Yeah. Well, I want to remind people that this Saturday at noon we have this National Rosary Rally. We're at a crossroads right now, and we're asking our Lord through His Mother to protect us and to show us the way and to see that things, calm down. Is that a way to put it? I mean, we've got the virus going on. We've got riots in the cities. Buildings burning down. We've got a lot of hatred out there. Political animosity, and we need to tamp that down. So we have these rosary rallies. There were last year over 21,000 of these across the country, and we have them here 10 o'clock this Saturday, public rosary, and I know of 3 parishes that are hosting them: St. Francis, St. Anthony's, and of course St. Augustine's. And if anyone knows of another parish that is hosting one in the area, if you would text us, and our text number is 515-223-1150, and tell us where it is, we'll be happy to try and mention that before we go off the air, too.
Do you know, are they all at noon?
They're all at noon.
This Saturday?
They're all at noon, and across the country, they're all at whatever the local time is at noon. Right. And in an effort to, plead our case to the Blessed Mother to, come down, help us.
That's right. We're taking out our weapons, right?
Well, that's right, and that's our atomic bomb. Is that rosary?
That's rosaries.
That's what we need, yeah.
And I would encourage any of our listeners that don't feel comfortable coming out to join us at noon in prayer in the rosary.
Yeah, and if you can't get out or something, at noon, turn off your TV, pull out the beads, go through them, and
join us.
And
Wonderful.
join us, yeah.
Well, speaking of prayer,
you have a prayer for us. Yes, let's open with a prayer, and then
all right. We have a few topics to discuss.
We do.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. God of peace, bring your peace to our violent world, peace in the hearts of all men and women, and peace among the nations of the earth. Turn to your way of love those whose hearts and minds are consumed with hatred. Strengthen us in hope, and give us the wisdom and courage to work tirelessly for a world where true peace and love reign among nations and in the hearts of all. Amen.
Amen. We're going to take a little break here, and then when we come back, we're going to give you the Megan Kreft story and a few other news items. So we'll be back in about, 3 minutes is what we're going for. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessment International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmentinternational.org. That's blessmentinternational.org.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
Thank you, Big Red Q Quick Print, for underwriting the sports report. Family owned and operated since 1980, Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. Forms, manuals, brochures, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, custom invitations, design, and bindery. Big Red Q Quick Print, located across from Merle Hay Mall. Online at bigredq-desmoines.com. Big Red Q Quick Print. We make printing easy.
What is the best gift ever? Giving a Catholic education is at the top of my list. Your contribution to CTO helps families send their children to our Catholic schools who otherwise could not afford it. In giving to CTO, you receive the best tax credits ever. Pledge or donate online at ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production. And we're back. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio. Got a couple of things I want to talk to you about before we give you the Megan Kreft story. Yesterday, I guess it was yesterday, the appeals court in Minnesota ruled that boys claiming to be girls are entitled to use the girls' locker room. Or is it girls trying to be boys? Whatever it is. They've ruled that
they can use the locker room opposite of their biological sex.
If they claim that that's how they identify.
Exactly.
Right. And it's kind of interesting. What had happened in the case is that apparently this young boy or girl, I guess it was a faux girl. Okay. It started out anyway. It was they apparently remodeled the boys' locker room for her so she had a private entrance, and apparently she refused to use that. She wanted to go in the regular way with everybody else.
With the other girls.
And so her parents brought suit, and that's what the Court of Appeals in Minnesota ruled yesterday, and it was interesting. It was, I think, a 2-1 ruling. The 2 justices that ruled in favor of the girl were both appointed by Democratic governors. The one that was appointed by a Republican governor went the other way. So
broke down party lines,
broke down party lines, that's right.
Everything else these days.
And in Virginia, I guess there's a school board there that wants to enforce wokeness on everything that an employee or somebody connected with the school district says. And so they have according to the policy that they're trying to adopt, any comments that are not in alignment with the school division's commitment to action-oriented equity practices. Now, they're a big proponent of this race theory, cultural race theory, and they've had speakers in to talk to them about that. So they're critical race theory, I guess it is, and so they're big into this. idea. And so apparently now, if you are involved with that school district in any way, you are limited to what you can say about any of this. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be at home on the telephone to your aunt, and you're still subject to discipline.
I saw that. Any communication on campus or off that does not or that is perceived to undermine the views, positions, goals, policies, or public statements of the superintendent or the school board, it will not be tolerated. I find that very draconian. That's
Well, and where
is freedom of speech in any of this?
Well, of course, when they pack the Supreme Court, we're going to lose it anyway. You know, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. All right. Then a New Jersey federal district court refused to issue a preliminary injunction which is challenging the COVID-19 orders of the governor of New Jersey that limits the number of people that can attend worship services both indoors and outdoors. The court found there was a rational basis for the restriction, and the plaintiff was a priest and a rabbi who ordered that the orders violate the Establishment Clause, and they lost. Now, whether that goes any further than that, I don't know, but that just came down.
And that was last week in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed at the discrimination against the churches throughout the COVID pandemic.
Abortion clinics and hardware stores and all these things can be open, but not churches. Not churches.
And protesters in the streets.
Protesters in the streets.
Large groups.
Because they're all peaceful, remember?
Well, but the group size, that's the thing that's surprising me.
Yeah, and whether they wear masks or not, and I think when they're shouting things, it's tough to shout through masks. So anyway, and then this little ditty that came in, the leader of the Communist Party USA has endorsed, guess who for president?
You tell me.
Mr. Biden.
Yeah, I wondered.
They claim they want to deliver a decisive defeat to Trump and his whole fascist regime.
Okay. Well, so seriously, that was the quote?
Yeah.
Because that's very interesting, because that's the platform. Defeat Trump. That's the whole Democrat mantra, from what I can tell. It's not what they can do to lift up our country and unify us and deliver services and be leaders. It's just simply to defeat Trump.
No, they're very vague about that. And you heard that as when you finish listening to the debate, you'll hear that. What they're talking about doing is very vague. We're going to do this. A lot of the things they're talking about doing have already been done. But it's basically an anti-Trump campaign. And I understand a lot of people are uncomfortable with Trump. Because he's from what, Queens? He's boisterous. Can be kind of a bully. People don't like his temperament. But if you ask, I think people, let's talk about policies. What policies do you like or dislike, and go from there? Because that's what we're really voting on.
Exactly. Yeah. I noticed that they're already announcing some appointments to the Biden administration. Bernie Sanders says he's going to be chief of the Department of Health, and perhaps the Communist Party leader was endorsing so that he also could have some kind of a
Labor.
position.
Yeah, that would that fit him. And Mr. O'Rourke, the former congressman from Texas, is going to be the gun czar. To
take our guns away.
Whatever it is.
Yes.
And I suppose somebody from Planned Parenthood will find their way onto the cabinet there, too.
Interesting.
Yeah. And along with the 4 new judges of the Supreme Court when they pack it.
So I saw that of course, we talked about this last week, the Supreme Court's back in session this week.
Yes, they are.
And they've taken up a few cases. But they rejected the case of Kim Davis, the Kentucky clerk who refused to issue marriage license for same-sex couples.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas and Alito agreed with the court's decision. So what do you think?
I didn't read the reason for the denial of cert. But a lot of times it has to do with something that is extraneous to what we think the issue is. There's a legal reason.
So not on the merits of the case.
Not necessarily on the merits.
Maybe the
it
way
could
it
be
was
a procedural
applied.
case or something like that. So I've not read that, and probably not going to. I've got my eyes are bad enough these days without reading stuff I don't need to read right now.
Got it. Also,
my eyes are being checked, by the way, on Monday. So one of these days I'll have new glasses and I'll be able to see a lot better than I can now.
Well, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, then let me read.
Well, you're just a blur to me right now. So.
No, let me warn everyone out there on the roads. Anyway,
I have my seeing eye dog with me. He kind of barks left or right.
I think we could get you one of those.
Yeah.
I saw that there's a case that wasn't on the docket this term that the court is being asked to take care of by the Trump administration. Several states have issued a stay in federal district court ruling this summer that suspended the in-person requirement for women who want to receive the abortion-inducing drug mifepristone, which I think we've talked about here. And so the Trump administration is asking for a stop to this telemedicine distribution of those medications.
Yeah, some of those are very dangerous. And if they're not given correctly, just like any other medication, it can do very serious harm to a person. And it seems like one side wants to make access to abortion pills and whatever as easy as possible. And as we know, they're dangerous. They contain dangerous drugs, and they have to be handled correctly. And we've seen, and we've talked about this before, many instances of somebody who has kind of poisoned themselves by taking these drugs incorrectly, and it's caused all sorts of problems with them, internal bleeding, sterilization, and other illnesses. Yeah.
So I noticed that was a Trump administration that went directly to the Supreme Court and no other courts involved. Does that happen very often? Does the Supreme Court get involved in stays like that?
But there are some emergency cases where they will go directly to the Supreme Court. Normally, though, the Supreme Court only has appellate jurisdiction. In other words, the district courts all have original jurisdiction to hear cases. So the only jurisdiction that the Supreme Court has is when it's on appeal to the Supreme Court. We call that appellate jurisdiction. So it's very difficult to get a case right from the very beginning. Although there are a couple instances, suits between states and things like that. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction involving ambassadors and things like that. Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. They usually don't hear it as a trial. They'll hear it in brief, or they'll appoint a special master to gather the information so that they can make a decision from that.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. Let's talk a little bit, and I think you've got some of the stuff there on the story of this Megan Kreft, because we're going to be talking to an ethicist about this after our break. You want to bring people up to date a little bit on Megan Kreft?
Sure. I heard this story originally over the weekend when I was listening to a podcast of Dr. Doctor, which I think that show is broadcast on EWTN and maybe on this channel, but I listened to it on podcast. Nonetheless, Dr. Doctor is Catholic doctors who talk about issues relating to Catholic doctors or just to medicine in general. And they had an interesting story which caught my attention, because on our program oftentimes we'll talk about cases where individuals who have their rights need to be protected, or they feel like their rights have been violated because they work for a religious institution and they are not living the values of that religious institution, and they lose their job. So we follow those cases often. Well, this particular case is about a young lady from Portland, Oregon, who went to medical school because she felt a calling to care for individuals. Her name is Megan Kreft, and she attended Oregon Health and Science University in Portland. She went to medical school to help people. Mm-hmm. While she was there, she encountered procedures such as contraception, sterilization, transgender services, but she had to excuse herself from all of those things. She was able to work with the Title IX office of the institution to have a religious accommodation. And because of that experience in medical school, she ruled out working in the field of primary care or women's health. So it was a tough decision for her, and she thought but she didn't she thought most of the institutions she would have to work for would be accepting of these objectionable procedures with her Catholic faith, like abortion, assisted suicide, those kinds of things. Still, she wanted to do whatever God had her to call with her education. So she came across a physician assistant position with the Providence Medical Group, which was in Portland, Oregon, and was affiliated with a Catholic hospital in Sherwood, Oregon. Let's see. So they offered her the job, and then she was thrilled because at her filling out all of her paperwork, she was required to sign a document which made her agree to conform to the institution's Catholic identity and its mission.
A 42-page document.
Yes, and to the U.S. Bishop's ethical and religious directives for Catholic health services. Anyway, she couldn't have been happier, but it seemed like a win-win to her, and on paper, it seemed like just the perfect opportunity. So anyway, she signed the directives and she accepted the position. Within the first few weeks of work, however, she found out that her supervisor gave her a list of procedures and said, which of these will you be willing to help us take care of? And on that list were things like vasectomies and intrauterine devices and emergency contraceptives. It made her very sad because that wasn't something she thought she would have to do under the ethical religious directives she had signed. So she was also then, within the first few weeks of work, asked to refer a patient for abortion. Well, this and another patient for hormonal contraceptives. And the story goes on, and she objects all the time, and her superiors then eventually let her go. So she chose not to sue because she wanted to be able to tell her story so that she can help others. But they did enter
into some type of settlement arrangement, did they not?
Yeah, and it's not disclosed.
The amount is not disclosed.
Right.
Right, but she can talk.
She can talk about the case.
She's not gagged. Okay.
Right, and she's running the case through the state employment equality department. So anyway, the reason I find this story so interesting is because it's completely opposite of what we're used to talking about here on the show.
Well, what we think the situation is out there, that you're safe in a Catholic institution, but not in a secular one. And I think we may find out otherwise because we have coming up an ethicist from the National Catholic Bioethics Center, Jozef Zalot. And we're going to bring him in right after our break here. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more. I think what may be happening is some of these facilities are being sold, and they're being sold to more secular organizations that may claim a Catholic identity but might not be living up to the principles. So go ahead.
And I'm wondering if there's money behind it. Is there federal funding and grants available if the institutions agree to do these provide these services?
Well, we'll find that out in just a couple of minutes when we have the doctor with us. So we're going to take a break right now, and we will be back. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio. We'll be back with Dr. Jozef Zalot, ethicist. Talk to him about this case in a few minutes.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Thank you, Big Red Q Quick Print, for underwriting the sports report. Family owned and operated since 1980, Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. Forms, manuals, brochures, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, custom invitations, design, and bindery. Big Red Q Quick Print, located across from Merle Hay Mall. Online at bigredq-desmoines.com. Big Red Q Quick Print. We make printing easy.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
What is the best gift ever? Giving a Catholic education is at the top of my list. Your contribution to CTO helps families send their children to our Catholic schools who otherwise could not afford it. In giving to CTO, you receive the best tax credits ever. Pledge or donate online at ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Here's your forecast on Iowa Catholic Radio. We'll be getting sunshine today and our afternoon high pretty mild with upper 70s. Could be a little bit breezy. Clear tonight and down to 60. It'll be windy tomorrow, 85 and sunny. The weather is brought to you by Rock Valley Physical Therapy. Outstanding outpatient physical therapy and sports medicine rehabilitation with 7 convenient locations in the Des Moines Metro and Southwest Iowa area. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton on Iowa Catholic Radio.
And this is Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and we are back with Dr. Jozef Zalot, who is a Ph.D. ethicist with the National Catholic Bioethics Center. Doctor, how are you this morning?
I'm doing okay. Just call me Joe. Everyone else does. So
okay,
we'll
that'll be fine.
that.
I had a professor in college that we referred to as Dr. Z, so that fits too, I think.
That's what my students used to always call me as well. So but Joe is so much better.
Okay, very good, Joe. Thank you very much. And you are located in Philadelphia, is that correct?
We are located in Philadelphia.
And that's where my family is from. So say hello to the city for me while you're there. All right, we've been discussing here, Gina and I have been discussing this Megan Kreft situation.
Right.
Where she was, I guess, terminated from a Catholic, apparently a Catholic institution, for trying to follow Catholic ethical requirements in medicine. How often does this happen, Joe, where somebody is dealing in a Catholic institution, wants to follow the Catholic guidelines for health care, and then is disciplined for it?
I couldn't tell you exactly how many times. I think probably only God knows that. We don't hear that too often. Mostly at the NCBC, we hear from people who, they'll be Catholic clinicians working in a secular setting, and there'll be, crises of conscience and these, there'll be these issues that come up. Megan is the first person that I personally have dealt with of a Catholic healthcare professional, very faithful person who was actually fired by a Catholic healthcare system. Now, I know others have been pressured. We've heard, anecdotally, you hear stories of physicians in different places, and we know that there are issues with a number of Catholic healthcare systems. But Megan is the first time I've personally heard of someone who's been fired from a Catholic healthcare organization for seeking to practice as a Catholic.
Now, is there a backstory here that we're not getting? Was this an institution that may have been sold to a more secular organization or something like that? No, not at all. It's the Sisters of Providence, and they have I don't know what their history is, but they are, they're a women's religious order, and they have had hospitals in the Pacific Northwest for a long time.
and a few years ago they merged with St. Joseph Health, which is primarily in California, to make Providence St. Joseph Health. But they are, they're not owned by a secular system. They are a Catholic healthcare organization, but they are a Catholic healthcare organization that has, that there are things happening in the system that violate Catholic teaching, and Megan got caught up in it.
Has there been any reaction from the diocese?
That I can't say, and I for purposes of confidentiality, I cannot say.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that.
All right, that'll be fine.
So is there, I often wonder if these decisions are made by our religious institutions and medical centers because money's involved. There's a substantial amount of maybe federal funding or state funding when they offer these types of services that violate our Catholic morals.
It very well could be. And in fact, in this case, and Megan and I, it's interesting because she first contacted us May of 2019, so it's been almost a year and a half now. So I've been kind of walking with her through this entire process. And in fact, I'm actually going to go out to Portland and meet her and her family next month. But one of the things that in our many conversations Megan told me is that the state of Oregon has what they call a contraception metric that healthcare institutions are, I guess, expected to follow from the state. So in other words, women of childbearing age, the clinicians are supposed to ask them the question, are you planning to become pregnant or have a child within the next year? And if the answer to that question is no, there's an expectation that the clinician will initiate a conversation about direct contraception, whatever that may be, hormonal or whatever the case, however it works. And that's one of the metrics that the state of Oregon uses, and that's one of the things that they track, because you can track those things through the electronic medical record. You type in the code, and we had this conversation, and so that they can do it. Now, Megan told me in the year that she was working for, or actually it was a little bit less than a year that she was working for Providence Medical, the contraception metric was not one that had a monetary reward, I guess, associated with it. Okay. That does happen in other years, but in the year that she was there, there was no direct monetary, no money was given because of it, but the metric was still in place, and she as a clinician was expected by Providence to initiate these conversations about direct contraception.
Interesting. So did she have any other colleagues that might have supported her through this episode with her employment, or did she feel like she was the only person who understood her Catholic identity?
I think she got some support initially from her clinic manager. I don't know if that person was Catholic or not, but she's indicated that she did get some initial support from that person. However, that person was then promoted to more of a regional position, and when whatever new management came in, they were not receptive to that at all. Now, did she have other colleagues who supported her or maybe quietly supported her? That I don't know. We've never really had that conversation. She's never said anything, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there weren't any. But I can tell you just from the many conversations that I've had and many conversations that we've had with other Catholic healthcare professionals around the country, people really feel alone. Megan really stuck her neck out. She got fired, but she really stuck her neck out to try to uphold her Catholic faith and her conscience and practice in accord with church teaching. And she felt that she was on an island. And in fact, she says one of the things that she was able to do in our conversations was just to get that support. And I hear that all the time. Healthcare professionals who they feel like they're the only ones out there. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm in this situation, and nobody thinks the same way I do, or nobody else in the country thinks the same way I do. I'm all by myself. And I want to, and I always tell them, and for your listeners here too, if there are any people in that type of situation, you're not alone. You're not on that island. There are many other people out there who believe the way you do, who feel, who are seeking to practice in accord with their faith. And there are organizations out there to support you. I mean, certainly the NCBC, we are one, but also the Catholic Medical Association as well. So please don't feel, that you're on an island, and there is help and there's support out there. Just reach out and contact us.
Yeah, and we have a lot of folks that provide legal support too, like the Thomas More Society and that.
Absolutely, and Thomas More actually represented Megan.
Good. How prevalent is this, not just in Catholic institutions, but in secular hospitals and secular clinics?
Again, I can't, speak from any personal experience. And I'm sure that there are issues out there. But one of the interesting things that I've heard, and I've heard this anecdotally from physicians, particularly Catholic physicians, is that there are some Catholic physicians who will actually say that their conscience protections are actually better in secular institutions than they are in Catholic institutions, which is really kind of interesting. We're also aware of there are a number of Catholic hospitals over the years that have been absorbed into secular systems, and we work with hospitals doing that. We work with dioceses in terms of issues of cooperation and everything else. And one of the things that the Catholic hospitals do is they will put in the actual purchase contract or purchase agreement that the Catholic facility, the Catholic hospital, although part of the secular system, is absolutely still able to provide care in accord with church teaching. And I don't know of any secular institution that has ever said, that's a no-go or don't allow that to happen. And I'm personally aware of a hospital in the Midwest that'll remain anonymous, but they were purchased by a secular system from the West Coast, and that language, the language of being able to continue providing care in line with Catholic teaching, that was put in there. And after 3 or 4 years, and I follow up with them every once in a while, and they say, no, it actually is going pretty well. The secular bodies just say, okay, yeah, this is what you'll do, this is what you won't do, and go ahead and do it. And so there almost seems to be more, in some cases, more of an openness to conscience and religious liberty in secular institutions than there are in Catholic institutions.
I think there's a lawsuit, or there was a lawsuit, I believe it was the University of Maryland. They had a hospital, a teaching hospital, and they took over a Catholic hospital, or they merged with a Catholic hospital, and there was that agreement in the purchase. And what happened was somebody who was not treated the way they wanted to be treated because of the Catholic mandate sued the hospital, and the state came back defending the Catholic principles that they had agreed to uphold, which seemed kind of odd to me, but it was fine. But so I guess this gets flipped around a little bit sometimes, and we don't expect to see some of the results that we do.
Yeah. And just an interesting little highlight. I think we're probably talking about the same hospital down at the University of Maryland, St. Joseph Medical Center.
St. Joseph Medical, right.
Yep. That hospital, now I don't know if this is the same issue here, but that hospital and 3 other Catholic hospitals in the country right now are being sued by biological women who went to, I guess, a provider or the hospital seeking to get a hysterectomy for so-called gender transitioning. And the Catholic hospital said, we don't do that. We don't provide interventions on healthy organs, healthy tissues and organs. That's mutilation. And these people are suing. So there's actually 4 outstanding, at least 4 that I know of, outstanding lawsuits against Catholic hospitals for not providing hysterectomies.
And then there are other lawsuits against Catholic hospitals trying to force them to do certain things or lose federal funding. I know the ACLU has been very active in that.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And part of the problem with that, too, is that there are Catholic hospitals, Catholic healthcare systems that do provide these things. And so, when they do, it makes it more difficult for those who are faithful to actually be faithful in terms of providing care.
Yeah, once they've done it once, they've kind of lost their argument if it happens again.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the Catholic medical schools that feed into the system of medical providers for us. How are they in terms of helping their students understand their moral and ethical obligations under Catholic teaching?
Well, again, we're not in the medical school, so I can't speak for everything that's going on. I will say that I know that the Creighton University in Omaha, they have opened a medical school in Phoenix. Now, why that is, I don't know, but we have some good contacts with the Diocese of Phoenix, and they are involved with it. So they are seeking to make sure, as best they can, and there doesn't seem to be any problem. Creighton doesn't seem to be an issue at all. But the Diocese of Phoenix is being very vigilant. Is being very vigilant to try to, make sure that that the medical education that students receive at that medical school in Phoenix is wholly in accord with church teaching.
Very good. Very good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, especially since I'm an alumni of Creighton. So
there you go.
Not the medical school, the law school.
No, I didn't go to law school. That undergraduate, journalism school. Yeah. Oh. All right. If somebody who is listening needs some help, or knows of someone that needs some help, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, the best way to get a hold of us is at our website. It's ncbcenter.org. And we have a 24-hour consultation line. So if people can either write in or they can call, and and someone will get back to you. And that's how Megan, the two of us got involved. I kind of laugh. This is the longest consult that I've ever done. It's now coming up on about 17 months, and it's still going. So, but yeah, we have that consultation service, and it's available to anybody. So it's clinicians if they have questions. Also, people. What we most often get are questions from lay people who are faced with literally a life or death decision for a loved one, and they don't know what to do in terms of what does the church call me to do in such a situation, and so. We have many, many conversations with people walking them through that. But yeah, our consult line it's available to everybody, and it's free.
Good.
So
wonderful. Good. We'll give Megan our best, and I hope that she finds a place to give care to people because from listening to her, her heart is truly in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely, she is. In fact, I would love to have her be my my family's part of our primary care team. The only problem is we can't really. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be really well. It'd be great to do it. I don't think it would be. That would be a little difficult to fly out to Portland to have your annual physical. But
move her to Philadelphia.
Well, there are things in the works.
Very good.
Not so much. Not to Philadelphia. Not to Philadelphia.
Well,
but there are good Catholic. There's some very faithful Catholic physicians who. Hopefully something will work out.
Very good.
Wonderful.
Very good. Well, we wish her all the luck in the world and want to thank you for joining us today and to explain what's going on. We certainly appreciate that. So thank you. God bless you and your work, and we'll talk to you some other time.
Absolutely. Love to come back. And God bless you guys as well.
Thank you. Thank you. That's Dr. Jozef Zalot, who is the ethicist with the National Catholic Bioethics Center. And we will be right back after these messages. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio.
What is the best gift ever? Giving a Catholic education is at the top of my list. Your contribution to CTO helps families send their children to our Catholic schools who otherwise could not afford it. In giving to CTO, you receive the best tax credits ever. Pledge or donate online at ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Thank you, Dental Associates, for underwriting Dowling Catholic Sports 365. With over 40 years' experience, Dental Associates is a group dental practice with the mission of promoting optimum health and well-being to all patients, providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family. Message underwritten by Dr. Kenton Gleichman, Dr. Steve Karbaka, Dr. Christine Mulcahy, and Dr. Ben Nagel. Dental Associates, addressing your smile, needs, and dreams. Online at DesMoines-DentalAssociates.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Storm Alert Weather is provided by Divine Treasures. Divine Treasures is a Catholic book and gift store serving the Des Moines community for over 25 years. Their mission is to help Catholics know, love, and keep their faith in our Lord Jesus Christ and His Church. Divine Treasures is where you can find great Catholic books, beautiful Bibles, rosaries, jewelry, statues, and religious gifts for those memorable events in your life. Divine Treasures, 5701 Hickman Road, Des Moines, 515-255-5230. Thank you to Divine Treasures for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production. Information about Pharmatan and other products at ImogeneIngredients.com. Paul and Paul are members of St. Augustine's Knights of Columbus and encourage their brother knights to keep standing for their faith.
Thank you, Skeffington's Formal Wear, for sponsoring Dowling Catholic High School football. In business since 1951, Skeffington's Formal Wear offers quality service, style, and selection, providing tuxedos, suits, and casual groom attire for weddings, proms, and any other special occasion. Skeffington's Formal Wear, with convenient locations in Des Moines, West Des Moines, Davenport, Coralville, and Ankeny. All locations are family-owned and operated by members in their respective communities, fitting you for life celebrations. Online at skeffingtons.com.
And we're back. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio. Tina, interesting conversation here with Dr. Zalot.
Yes, and I really thought when we discussed this case with him that he would tell us that it's prevalent throughout the Catholic health industry across the United States. But I was very happy to hear that it's not necessarily as prevalent as I would have imagined, that they are upholding Catholic teaching in the Catholic hospitals. The dioceses are still very involved with the Catholic medical providers in their diocese.
And it was nice to know that when these institutions are being transferred from one entity to another, that they've been covering this in part of that contract
keeping their Catholic
sale,
identity in the sale of a secular into a.
Because that was my first thought, that maybe this is something that got sold. And
well, I don't understand it. It's Sisters of Providence. I don't know much about them. The only thing that can come to mind that this would happen is that it's on one of the coasts of the United States, which we all know how sometimes.
Well, it sounds like there is some state pressure on them to do certain things or to ask certain questions, and that may have been what provoked this. And it very easily could have been an overreaction by whatever local clinic she was in to her problem. But you would think that taking it up the ladder a little bit, they would have solved that problem.
Well, and that's why I asked the question about the Catholic medical schools, because it makes me wonder if the providers go along to get along so that they can keep their jobs and they just hold their breath through these things that don't that go against their Catholic faith. But it didn't sound like the schools are really the issue. So I don't know. I don't know how it happens, but it's sad that it does happen. It denatures our Catholic identity with other Catholic institutions upholding the moral values.
Yeah. And what we need to do is to keep praying.
Prayer, that rosary
novena that we're doing, the 54-day rosary novena. that we started on the Nativity of our Blessed Mother, September 8th. We're down in like day 31 or something like that now. And then we're going to do the Rosary Rally this weekend.
On Saturday.
At
your church.
Are you going to be there?
Yes, I will.
Very good.
I'll be at St. Augustine at 42nd and Grand.
Okay. And for some reason, we're not getting our text messages. So if you've been trying to text us about another church that's doing that, we haven't gotten the message. But anyway, now Jimmy's going to take a look at the thing just as we're getting ready to go off the air. So
hope to see you all.
Yeah, it means I haven't got it. All right, that's fine. All right, let's. Did you have something?
No.
Okay.
Good show.
Okay, let's end with our prayer to St. Michael. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. For Gina and myself, thank you for listening. Join us next week for another edition of Faith on Trial. Until then, have a blessed and peaceful week.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano. Faith on Trial, Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Iowa Catholic Radio, iowacatholicradio.com, and the Iowa Catholic Radio app.
Support for Faith on Trial and Iowa Catholic Radio provided in part by Imogene Ingredients.